Hey guys.
Hello.
I am Kristen Howerton. I blog at Raging Against the Minivan, and I'm slurring. Had a little wine. I am a Democrat.
And I am Paul Martin. I blog at Paula Sophia, which is under attack. And I blog at Paula Sophia. I'm a Republican. I'm a Republican.
Yes. That's how I would feel if I was a Republican right now.
Man.
So Paul and I do these weekly podcasts where we discuss the election from different sides, and we decided tonight to have a little fun with it and talk about the GOP debate right after the debate.
Right.
On a little wine. So.
And various other
beer and
liquids.
So that was interesting.
Yeah, so they went at it again.
They did. They surely did.
Ben Carson wasn't there. I don't know why.
Well, he said he didn't think it was advantageous to his campaign or something like that.
Right.
I mean, why doesn't he just drop?
Well, it's a book tour. I guess the thing now is he's trying to peddle a book, and so he doesn't want to drop out.
Weird.
Evidently.
Okay.
But I hadn't followed. I just didn't know. I just turned it on, and he wasn't there.
Okay. Randomly, did you know that there is a movie based on Ben Carson's life starring Cuba Gooding Jr.?
As Ben Carson?
Yes.
Didn't know that.
I don't know how I saw that. It's like a made-for-TV movie.
Wow. Okay.
Anyway.
We have that.
Yes.
When's the Donald Trump movie coming out? Starring.
Sure.
Who would star in the Donald Trump movie?
I feel like it would have to be Jimmy Fallon because he does them so well.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so one of the points tonight that stood out to me that seems like a major opportunity for his opponents is this whole tape deal.
Yes.
And I noticed them circling back to that.
Yes.
So there apparently is some off-the-record tape of a conversation between Donald Trump and people from the New York Times, in which he admits that a lot of this is theatrics, that he doesn't really believe that he should build a wall, that he's just strumming up votes. Right. And his answer was, well, it's off the record, I don't want to address it. But, I mean, Rubio and Cruz were just like two pariahs saying, something in the water, and they were just like, release the tapes, which is an interesting kind of gotcha moment.
Right. And once again, Trump tomorrow morning will say something like, I don't know, who knows, what can he say? The Pope is my boyfriend or something. They'll get all the headlines.
Yes.
And this will go away.
Yes.
Because he is famous for, when he's pressed, after a debate, the next day, he will say something inflammatory. It'll grab all the headlines, and people will stop talking about it. But he apparently is, off the record, but on tape, saying that, admitting that he's a con artist, which he clearly is.
Yes.
And that he's using language like, we're going to build a wall, and we're going to deport 11 million people, which is impossible. And he admits it. And Cruz, you're right. They went after him over and over and over again, said, if you're serious, just release the tapes.
Yeah.
And he won't.
I mean, I almost felt like a tenor of the whole evening was people trying to get a gotcha on Trump. You had the tape. You had Megyn playing tapes of him changing his mind. Yeah. There was another issue that they were going after him over, and now I'm blanking on it. But, every time an issue like that would come up, I would be like, oh, shit, like they've got him. Yeah. And then I think, you know what, Trump's supporters don't care. No. Like nothing they reveal. Oh, I know what the other one was. All of these donations that he's given in the past to Democrats. Right. That he basically funded Hillary's presidential campaign.
Absolutely. I mean, people, if it was anyone else who had written 4 checks to Hillary Clinton for Trump, and he didn't deny it.
Yeah.
No, he wrote 4 checks to her 2008 presidential campaign. The current leader of the Republican Party admitted tonight to writing 4 checks to Hillary Clinton's campaign. And yet these Republicans somehow don't care. I've never seen anything like it. Because
his fans trust him implicitly, and they're too stupid. So when he says, well, I did, but it was for business, they're like, oh, okay, it was for business. Like, they believe him.
Right.
And what's crazy is he answers everything with the same cocky, self-assured.
Right.
I mean, I said on Twitter earlier, it's like a drinking game every time he goes, believe me.
Right.
The wall will be built and Mexico will pay for it. Right. Believe me.
Right.
And what he just said is totally ludicrous. So I just think there are people out there when he says believe me or when he says it was for business.
Right.
They're just like, okay.
Right.
I believe
and you're a psychologist. I mean, there is a lot of research in this idea of reinforcement. Yes. And I think he's onto something big, because every time he says, believe me, subconsciously that's being stabbed into the minds of tens of millions of people that believe him, even though they're showing tapes of him contradicting himself. He'll just go and say, believe me, 15 times after that. You know, I think the bully thing's interesting, and it's difficult for me to not go philosophical from time to time, but there's this thing Aristotle talked about. Bullies are actually the most insecure people.
Sure.
And so they have to put on, and just think of your schoolyard bully growing up, right? Yeah. This person was tough and big, and he got in fights, but ultimately this was a very sad, abused soul inside that put on this front of strength. Yes. But inside there was weakness. And you so see that with Trump.
You do.
There's this big macho, these gestures in his face, and he's pouring water, and people, that appeals to people as strength.
The
John Kasich, I mean, I have various views on him, but every time he spoke, there was a sense with John Kasich of calm, of control.
Yes.
And like he said, people are telling me every time I speak, they think, oh, there's an adult on the stage.
Yes.
And 3 or 4 times tonight, he calmed the entire room down.
He did, but I'm afraid that doesn't appeal to people.
No, I don't think it does either.
Yeah, I think that...
Clearly it doesn't. He's getting single digits.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people really like... I mean, it really... It reminds me of the appeal of Mark Driscoll. If you guys aren't familiar with who that is, it's like a total dude bro, misogynist pastor who gets up and just basically tells everyone what to do. And his personality is very similar to Donald Trump. But I feel like, these are two people who people are attracted to because they don't think for themselves.
Right.
They're not very intelligent, and it's just like, I like this guy speaking his mind.
Right.
Like there's some huge value in speaking your mind.
Right. Even when speaking your mind is rude. I mean, in the beginning, I'm sorry, I'm a pretty liberal guy when it comes to, express yourself. I love, this idea of our country. We get to express ourselves, and I'm all for it. But calling Marco Rubio short 50 times, like seriously? Like there are children watching this. That's second grade. That's not even high school.
No.
That's not even junior high. Calling someone short is it's the lowest, no pun intended, form of insult. And his new tagline for Rubio is little guy. And literally, I could just see some guys in bars thinking, are you really sticking it to him, dude?
Well, it's funny. Did you happen to see Mitt Romney's address last night?
I didn't see it, but I'm very interested in it.
Well, he did which is another interesting psychological technique, which is to predict how someone else will behave so that when they do it, they look like the idiot. Right. And so he said, he was very critical of Donald Trump, and he said, the bullying behavior, the insults, this is not becoming of a president. And then he said, you watch. Now, tomorrow, Donald Trump won't answer to any of the content that I'm saying. He'll just insult me. And he'll find something to insult me on. Maybe because I'm a Mormon or because this or that. But he's like, you just watch. Tomorrow, he will attack me personally. Not policy-wise. He'll attack me personally. Yeah. Which is true.
Yeah. And over, I mean, let's face it, Rubio, Cruz, I don't think Trump has a clue on any of the policies. The contrast between Rubio, Cruz, and Kasich, talking really kind of basic policy issues, and Trump doesn't know how. So he defaults to this kind of common uneducated language, like, we're losing to China, and we're losing to Mexico, and we're gonna keep these guys out, and trust me, I know how to negotiate. This is kind of 8th grade vocabulary.
Yeah.
It's, but that's the deal. And I had a very interesting friend today, and you know who you are, friend, say something. My speculation was talk radio, Rush Limbaugh, I talked about this, I think, 1 or 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Talk radio, Rush Limbaugh, and, kind of Fox News on the Republican Party has caused people to no longer read newspapers.
Yes.
So they're not really informed. They're getting op-ed, and they're thinking, that means opinion editorial people. But, they're getting op-ed, and they're thinking it's the news.
Yeah.
And this person said, I believe that, but I also think after 15 years of reality TV, this is profound to me.
Yeah.
So, The Bachelor and The Apprentice, and just this kind of radical drama, and I'm not knocking these shows, but there's a reality TV generation now
for sure.
that appeals to, Trump appeals way more to that vibe. And I think he knows it as a producer of television.
Yeah.
That to the degree he's theatric, he's going to get emotions going. And I know you probably have a lot of thoughts on that.
Oh, I completely agree. I think he is appealing to the lowest common denominator. He knows it. He's not even ashamed of it.
Right.
And I don't even think I don't think half of what he says is even reflective of his own personal views. I think he's saying what he thinks will appeal to people.
Right. And which is the populist viewpoint. But what startles me, and I'm a bit of a nerd, a political nerd, but his views are in many ways so left.
Yeah.
For Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
For the single payer healthcare. For Vladimir Putin, when he was talking about, I want to negotiate, I want to be a friend of all these other nations. Mm-hmm. Obama did say that.
Yeah.
He did say that he would speak to Cuba and speak to Iran.
And he was called a communist.
He was called a communist.
Yeah.
And here you have Donald Trump, the big, tough, hawkish sounding person, talking tonight about how he's neutral on Israel and Palestine. And he wants to be friends of Putin. I mean, that is the most, I'm sorry, respectfully, but that's a very left, kind of loosey-goosey, democratic, we're friends. And this is the Republican leader. I don't know what to do with this. It's a whole new category.
Well, and I thought that was another gotcha moment when they pointed out that he helped fund Obamacare.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why aren't people like, wait, what? I mean, these are all the people that like tried to impeach Obamacare.
Right.
For
treason, right?
Right. Not even they were questioning the constitutionality of Obamacare. And here's a guy who funded it, and they're like, we'll vote for you. Yeah. Like, what is that?
Yeah, it's a new category, and that's why Romney. So I think something we do need to talk about is Romney. And he comes out today. He's from Michigan. His dad was a governor of Michigan. And he makes a speech. The debate was in Michigan. And he essentially is stepping up. It's a remarkable move by somebody who lost the last election. But, Romney is a deal maker. If there's ever been a deal maker, he saved the Olympics. He's known to be one of the most, remarkable thinkers in terms of strategy.
Yes.
And he's not running. He's not an elected official.
Yeah.
And I predict, and this is going out on a limb, but this is, informed by some of the things I've read, that Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, Mitch McConnell, the Majority Leader of the Senate, that there's something happening behind closed doors.
Right.
McCain has come out now.
Yes.
And it was interesting at the end, they asked all candidates if they would support Trump. The other three, they all said they would. But there is a massive anti-Trump movement. But now it's starting to be represented by the McCains, the Lindsey Grahams, the Mitt Romneys. And I think it will be interesting in the weeks and months ahead to see how strong that coalition builds and what will happen at the convention.
I agree. I mean, I feel like Mitt talking last night was sort of like, oh, Dad's here. Like,
Right.
Dad just showed up and said, stop it,
you
guys.
Right.
Why would the other candidates support Trump?
I think there are nuances going on that I don't even understand.
I mean, is that in the hopes for a vice bid?
It could. Some have said that with Kasich. I wouldn't think so with Rubio nor Cruz, given what Trump has said about them.
Yeah.
Rubio and Kasich and Trump have this interesting relationship where Kasich, he even said tonight, "I'm not taking the bait."
Yeah.
But I think it could be, and this is big speculation, people, but it could be that. That Rubio and Cruz know that there's some backdoor deals being made. And they're saying, I would support Trump. I would support the nominee. But the nominee's not going to happen because there's a broker convention around the corner.
Interesting.
I mean, who knows?
So what were some of your favorite moments from tonight's debate?
Yeah, I thought Rubio again was, at one point, I don't think you heard it. It was in the last 10 minutes or so.
I missed the last 10 minutes.
I'm going to botch it a bit, but Cruz was saying to Trump, because Trump was he was literally spitting and losing it, and Cruz said, breathe, Donald.
I did hear that.
Did you hear that?
Yes,
did you hear that?
Because he had said that to him earlier.
Yes, and Cruz kept saying it to Trump. Trump couldn't help. And then you hear Rubio out of the left side saying, it sounds like a yoga studio or something like that. People, of course, erupted in laughter. And then very cleverly, Rubio said, well, Donald, you're so flexible. And people just erupted because Trump's big thing was how flexible he is as a negotiator. Yes. I thought that Rubio was much better on his game tonight. I don't know. What do you think? What was yours? Pick one.
I know. I really enjoyed when they kept circling around to the tapes.
Yeah.
I was like, they got him.
Yeah. Yeah. And I go to bed. I mean, I wake up every morning, at like 4, and I go to Real Clear Politics, and I'm just wondering what the pundits think.
I know.
Is this issue of the tapes going to become a big issue? But I predict that tomorrow morning Trump is going to make some inflammatory statement, and suddenly the issue of the tapes will disappear because he's going to say David Duke's brother. There's something crazy, and then it'll grab. This is what he done because he's done it so successfully to quell anything that would bring him down.
So there was a little talk tonight about ISIS, and it was interesting to hear the differing views on that.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm amazed. Donald Trump said, he's on tape saying that he would bomb the families of the terrorists.
Yeah.
This is on tape. He did it, I think, with Matt on NBC morning show. And that's a war crime. Yeah. This is a war crime, to go bomb innocent families and murder innocent families of terrorists. In most cases, these terrorists have gone off in the fringe. The wives and the children and the moms and dads have nothing to do with them in many cases. So that was brought up tonight. And a group of military experts said that we would never torture, number one, because it's a war crime.
It's a war crime.
And number two, we would never fulfill the orders of the commander-in-chief if he said go firebomb the families of these. And so they confronted Trump and said, your commanders wouldn't obey your orders.
That was another time he pulled they'll obey me, believe me.
Yeah, believe me.
It's like, believe you what? How would you force people to, I mean, now we're looking at fascism. Like, how would you force American soldiers to do something they feel is unconscionable and illegal?
Yeah.
Now we're looking at, like, Joseph Kony behavior.
Absolutely. And again, this is so speculative and it sounds very alarmist, but civil wars have happened. If you look back at history, they have happened. And every big civilization thinks theirs is the one that will last forever.
Yes.
Be it the Romans, you can go on and on and on. But when you have someone with this kind of power talking about bombing, torturing the families of terrorists, and you have military, I think 70 military experts, high-level experts said, or personnel said, we would not follow the demand of the commander-in-chief. This is where you get civil wars. You have the military saying to the leader, no, we're not doing this, and suddenly who's in control?
Totally.
And that's what tonight was about. And Trump's answer was, believe me, they'll follow me. That doesn't make me feel safe.
No, it does not. It does not make me feel safe at all. I mean, my only hope in the whole Trump fiasco is, should he actually be elected, we will just discover that he was a blowhard pitching for votes. Right. And that, in fact, he can be a reasonable person.
Yeah.
But
you mean later?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Whether this was all a means to an end. He gets nominated and then he becomes...
the vibe a little bit it is.
Yeah.
He's sort of... Yeah. He just knows how to rile people up. Yeah. And that, he does obviously have some negotiating skills somewhere.
I mean, only time would tell if he became the nominee and if he became president. Yeah. I think there would be something sobering about taking that oath.
One would think.
Yeah. But I also think, to evoke one more philosopher, there's this whole idea of, like, Plato saying democracy is the worst form of government because every desire gets a vote. And you see that right now with Trump gets more than any other candidate, perhaps in the history of this country. Yeah. That sound bites, that just saying the right thing in sound bites hundreds of times. Yes. We're going to beat China. We're going to beat China. We're going to beat China. We're going to build a wall. We're going to build a wall. We're going to build a wall. We're going to make American great again. Great. That is appealing to people's basic desires. Yes. And really, that's all he needs to do. He doesn't need to talk policy or even understand the issues. No, you're right. Because he's going to make America great again. Yeah, his entire campaign is the masses are asses. That's how he's gotten where he is. Yeah, and Hillary and Bernie. So we have to do a little bit in that other side. Well, okay. Let's talk really quick about who we think won the debate, and then I want to talk about some sure. Because we haven't filmed since then. So who do you think won the debate? I'm always wrong. I mean, I look at Trump and I just think there's nobody possibly that thinks that he won this debate. No. And I'm always proven wrong. Yeah. So I thought Cruz was remarkably strong.
Yeah.
I thought Rubio did I thought the other three did great, but that could be my own bias.
Yeah.
Because I want anybody, as a Republican,
yeah.
I will want anybody other than Trump to be the nominee. So it's very hard for me to say. I don't think Trump won the debate. I thought he looked ridiculous.
Well, I feel like I'm pretty unbiased, and I thought Cruz won the debate.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought he did a good job.
Yeah. He's so remarkably sharp. Believe in his policies is very right-wing.
Right, but
yeah, he's argued before the Supreme Court many times. Yeah. He's a sharp guy.
Yeah, totally. All right, let's really quickly talk about Super Tuesday because we haven't filmed since then. Yes. I mean, were you surprised?
I was, you heard all this talk about Trump dominating. Mm-hmm. And in one sense he did, but in another sense he didn't.
Yeah.
Rubio won Minnesota.
Yeah.
Cruz won big time in Texas. He won Oklahoma. He won Alaska. Yeah. I think he may have won one other state. I don't recall.
Yeah.
And so, had Trump swept, it would have been over. Now, a lot of my pundit guys that I follow on the right are saying it is over. Trump has won. Yeah. At this point, it's too late. But I still think there's a crack, given that these other candidates won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, again, it comes back to that split vote thing, too, because what could have been different if it was just two of them?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's still 4 candidates fighting.
I know.
And the big question is, could Trump get more than 35-40%? So if it's just Trump and Cruz, just Trump and Rubio, or just Trump and Kasich, could Trump really get 50-60%?
Yeah.
And his negatives are remarkable. I mean, he is not liked, except vehemently by 30-40% of the party.
Yeah. I was a little sad. I thought Bernie would have a better showing.
Yeah.
And I know, I mean,
I was feeling sad for you that
evening. I know, right? I just had this little glimmer of hope that he would surprise everyone.
Right.
It's fine, but...
Yeah, well, he's done amazing things. He's saying he's not going anywhere, but
yeah.
The Hillary machine is just starting to get going.
It is. I agree. But I do think it is remarkable that, a senator who was independent for so many years, who calls himself a socialist, is getting this much traction. And I do think, it is a preview of what's to come with millennials and the way they think. Because I think he's won the millennials.
Yeah, the thought of a socialist running, 40 years ago, 5 years ago, would be unheard of.
Well, it was bandied about as an insult towards Barack Obama. And now, Sanders is just like, yeah, I am.
Yeah. And absolutely. And there could be some if it ends up being Hillary and Trump, already some messaging going on with Hillary saying, we need to make America whole again. So there's this idea of making America great again versus America whole again. Which would you prefer, whole or great, right? Yeah. And then the other is, we need more love and kindness in this campaign in America. It's going to be very difficult. If she stuck to that message, it would be very difficult for Trump to say anything about love or kindness. And it would be interesting to see what the American people choose. This idea of we're going to be great again, we're going to kick China's ass and Mexico's ass and kick the Japs out and all that stuff, which you said, and the Muslims too, versus Hillary saying whole, loving. And I know many of you hate Hillary, and I get that, but it would be interesting if the messaging came down to kicking ass, taking names, beating people up, versus we want to unify and love and be kind. These are pretty big ideals that would be competing against each other.
Totally. All right, what do we have coming up in the next week?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
I hung over on this. Between Super Tuesday and tonight.
I know.
We have the 15th, which is the next big primary. I don't know if they're caucuses, but I think you have Ohio on the 15th. I don't remember which other states. Oh, Florida, of course.
Yeah.
And, Rubio loses Florida, he's out.
Yeah.
Kasich loses Ohio, he's out. And so a lot could be happening.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll finally get down to one. Candidate against Trump.
And then we'll really have things to talk about.
Yes, we will.
Because that's when it's really going to get nasty if it's Trump.
Yeah, I agree. All right, join us next week and hit us up with comments. We'll be posting these on our blogs and would love to hear your feedback.
Yes, see you then.